In a surprising turn of events, Mark Agnifilo, one of Shy Diddy's lead defense attorneys, left a recent court hearing mid-session. Known for handling big cases and high-stakes defenses, Agnifilo's sudden exit drew attention. Though lawyers sometimes step away for various reasons, a move like this can hint at potential conflicts within Diddy's defense team, disagreements over legal strategy, or unexpected changes behind the scenes. With Agnifilo gone, the remaining attorneys may now need to adapt their approach, potentially altering Diddy's defense plan as they press on without one of their top voices.
Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Now, you can be a freak and it's not illegal, but you can't force people to do shit. And this is what I'm getting at. When you have a lot of money and you have no accountability and you want to do whatever the fuck you want to do whenever the fuck you want to do it, I think you can go a little bonkers.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
I mean, he's complaining to a teenager that you don't really want to hang out with me. Okay, but he didn't do this. Just so you know, he didn't do this. He did not do this. He doesn't have... Oh my God. Look at all that baby oil. He didn't do this. He didn't have all these bottles of baby oil for nothing.
And we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
That means when he's out of money.
He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government...
Okay, that's just dumb. He's not afraid of the charges? Wouldn't you be afraid of the charges? Where are you? You're in fucking Rikers Island. You goddamn well better be afraid. They just executed 2 search warrants. They've got obliterated serial numbers on firearms. They've got videos and baby oil. You know, what he needs is somebody to tell him what the truth is. You are f***ed. You are absolutely f***ed. You're going to prison for the good portion of the rest of your life. I guarantee you, they've offered immunity to the people around him so that they testify.
Mark Agnifilo, a lead attorney in Diddy's defense, has built a reputation handling cases for high-profile and controversial clients, particularly in challenging areas like racketeering, trafficking, and white-collar crime. His experience includes defending figures like Keith Raniere in the NXIVM case, where Raniere faced and was ultimately convicted of trafficking and racketeering. Agnifilo's background has drawn some criticism, but also highlights his skill in managing intricate legal battles. His involvement in Diddy's case underscores both the gravity of the charges and the expertise required for Diddy's defense. Now, with Agnifilo's sudden exit, there's speculation, could this signal cracks in the defense's approach, or might it be part of a larger strategy?
And the point person behind that request and Diddy's team is defense attorney Mark Agnifilo. If that name is familiar to you, it may be because you've heard it before. He's repped several high-profile defendants, like the NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere and Roger Ng, a former Goldman Sachs banker convicted of bribery and money laundering. We'll get to those cases in a second, but first, a bit about Agnifilo's history. He received a bachelor's degree in philosophy and political science from Connecticut College in 1986. In 1990, he received his Juris degree from Brooklyn Law School, and while there, even received the American Jurisprudence Award for Outstanding Performance in Trial Advocacy. Starting in 1998, Agnifilo began his work at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of New Jersey. There, he worked as the Chief of Violent Crime Unit and specialized in cases involving murder, money laundering, extortion, and drug trafficking. During his tenure there, Agnifilo became a nationally recognized expert in sophisticated criminal prosecutions and the RICO statute, the very same statute that Diddy is now charged under. Agnifilo stayed with the U.S. Attorney's Office until 2006, when he began work at the law office of Benjamin Brafman, who, by the way, repped Diddy in his trial regarding the New York nightclub shooting.
Legal analyst Bruce Rivers recently discussed the serious implications Diddy could face under federal sentencing guidelines for RICO Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act and trafficking charges. Rivers highlighted how strict these guidelines are, especially when multiple charges establish a pattern of organized crime. If Diddy is found guilty of these charges, he could face a life sentence without the possibility of parole, a stark reality that raises this case far beyond a typical celebrity trial. Rivers also emphasized the strength of RICO cases, where proving conspiracy alone can lead to conviction, making Diddy's legal position even more precarious.
Separate from the freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. And you keep in mind, these victims are going to come in and testify. Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. I don't want to f*** him anymore. Too bad. You're going to f*** him some more. They also got 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You know, they got terabytes and terabytes of videos. You know, remember I was telling you they got all those electronics? Somebody like this guy wants to preserve that. I guarantee you it's all there.
The RICO charges against Diddy are central to the prosecution's strategy, tying together multiple allegations under laws usually reserved for organized crime. RICO statutes allow prosecutors to argue that various alleged offenses such as trafficking or coercion were part of a larger organized framework. This approach can make things challenging for Diddy's defense since it requires addressing the broader narrative of a coordinated scheme, not just the individual allegations. To counter this, Diddy's defense will likely need to break down the prosecution's assertion of an organized network connecting the alleged wrongdoings. This could involve challenging the links between the accusations, questioning the reliability of evidence suggesting a coordinated structure, and presenting alternative explanations for each alleged act, aiming to dismantle the cohesive story the prosecution is building under RICO.
Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial in May on his sex trafficking charges. A judge at a hearing in Manhattan set the trial date, also discussing a gag order imposed on prosecutors and the defense, telling them not to discuss the case or provide any material about the case to the media, to the public. They contend that the government leaked a damaging piece of evidence potentially against Combs when a videotape from 2016 was played on CNN earlier this year. That video shows Sean Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel in Los Angeles. It had been a secret, private for many years, but then it came to the forefront and was played publicly on CNN. The defense contends that that tape was leaked by investigators. Prosecutors say they have no knowledge of any leak, and they refute the allegation that they were involved in any leaks. The judge says he will consider potentially having an evidentiary hearing to get to the bottom of that. That won't happen for some time. First, the defense and then the prosecution will submit paperwork outlining their positions on this.
Since the investigation began, Diddy's legal team has consistently denied all allegations, with attorneys like Mark Agnifilo and Tini Galgos challenging the case's foundation. They argue that the charges rely heavily on circumstantial evidence and character claims, rather than concrete, physical evidence typically seen in serious cases. Their strategy aims to frame the case as one of conflicting accounts, casting doubt on the credibility of the allegations and questioning the reliability of witnesses. By taking a strong public stance, they hope to shape public opinion and possibly influence jury perception, portraying Diddy as a victim of circumstances rather than an orchestrator of organized activities. However, the real question remains, will this approach be enough to weaken the prosecution's case, or does the evidence presented still carry more weight?
Secret tape recordings in Diddy's homes. Diddy appears to be a voyeur that likes to spy on people on his hidden cameras, which are wired in secret places all over his mansions. Little Rod's lawsuit revealed that Mr. Combs had hidden cameras in every single room of his home, including in the bathrooms and shower heads. The evidence revealed that Diddy had recordings of several celebrities and artists engaging in illegal activity. These individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent. Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person who has attended his freak-off parties, so the entire hip-hop industry could implode before our very eyes as the feds review the evidence. It was revealed that Diddy allegedly has freak-off footage of Beyonce.
Defense attorney Tini Galgos has drawn comparisons between Diddy's case and those of Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, both of which were intensely scrutinized and involved controversial narratives. However, Galgos is careful to highlight key differences, noting that Diddy's case reportedly lacks some of the concrete physical evidence that contributed to the convictions of Weinstein and R. Kelly. By bringing up these comparisons, Galgos aims to proactively address any parallels, setting Diddy's defense apart from other recent high-profile cases. Her comments emphasize that Diddy's allegations are primarily circumstantial, underscoring the defense's strategy to separate public perception from the actual evidence. Whether this comparison will strengthen Diddy's defense amid the public's heightened attention to high-profile cases remains to be seen.
It's not all the time they say this, but they say this is going our way. Not the bail. They say we have them. We got a lot of people who are going to talk and say that this is what Diddy was about, and some people may pass it off as hip-hop culture, but it is a series of felonies and RICO. What do they have wrong?
They did say in court today they've talked to 50 witnesses. We said the same thing. We've been doing a parallel investigation at every single step of the way, talking to every single person. There's the same kind of universe of people here that he's been around. We're talking to people to show that we have a case. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's going to be able to show it.
Innocent means he didn't do any of the wrong things. Not guilty means they can't make the case.
He's
right?
innocent.
So you think he did none of these things? He was never present in any of these activities? This wasn't his lifestyle?
But a lifestyle and being present in activities doesn't mean he committed a crime.
Unless those activities and that lifestyle are criminal.
But those activities and the lifestyle is not criminal. What was notable today, what my partner Mark said in court, is they never once said that these women didn't consent to what happened. Not once.
Legal experts outside Diddy's defense team have weighed in, noting that if he's convicted, he could face a substantial sentence due to the seriousness of the trafficking and RICO charges. They highlight that the combination of alleged misconduct and organized behavior significantly raises the stakes under federal guidelines. These analyses contribute to public perception, framing the trial as a high-stakes case in celebrity legal history. Such expert commentary can influence public opinion and even potential jurors by reinforcing the gravity of the charges. To counter this, Diddy's defense may need to address these external opinions directly, presenting a narrative that questions the strength of the evidence and emphasizes the circumstantial nature of the allegations, aiming to sway perception back toward their stance.
And turned raunchy.
People were getting high. There were girls swimming topless, young-looking girls that were, not dressed. We moved to another part of the house so that he wouldn't be exposed to what was going on.
In later years, Diddy implemented a curfew for children.
The kids have like an hour left. So get extra comfortable, but this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to.
I think he's a monster.
This week, Houston-based lawyer Tony Busby says more than 120 people are coming forward with claims Diddy sexually abused them.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
Did Diddy assault you in any way?
When you say assault, I don't know the exact definition, but he put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way.
Diddy is now behind bars, facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. He denies all claims of sexual abuse, including against minors.
Diddy's case has drawn intense focus from legal analysts who emphasize the impact that RICO-related charges and misconduct allegations can have in high-profile trials. Experts suggest that cases like this, particularly involving celebrities, set a tone for how rigorously the justice system may pursue alleged organized wrongdoing in the entertainment world. The extensive public commentary from analysts on potential outcomes and on how Diddy's defense is handling the allegations could strongly influence public opinion. This dynamic can complicate jury selection, as high-profile cases often struggle to ensure jurors remain objective. With media coverage often echoing these expert opinions, Diddy's defense may need to carefully dismantle the prosecution's narrative, particularly by targeting arguments that rely on emotional appeal over concrete evidence to counter any preconceptions formed before trial proceedings begin.
Height of his career, still very much so an icon and influential figure. So she's just a young girl from Northern California who's gonna believe that he had done something to her like this. So she didn't tell anybody. She did not hire an attorney. All she did was make the police report in the hopes that maybe the police would try to investigate and come up with anything. But she said she kind of felt from the police that they were disregarding what she was saying, even without saying Mr. Combs' name. So she didn't feel any confidence that revealing his name would have done anything.
Sure. I mean, but there's a police report.
Yeah.
I mean, that fact in of itself is a big deal, because when you're talking about going back in time and talking about these allegations from other alleged victims, there's not a lot of police reports, but you guys actually have one. And is that going to be revealed? Are we going to be able to see it?
Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the criminal complaint that was made. I'll attach the number so everyone can see that this is a real number and can go to the police department there and request their own copy of that police report that was made back in 2018.
Well, that's going to be a huge deal when it happens, obviously, so we want to follow up on that. Did Mr. Combs have any reaction? Do you know if he was interviewed? I mean, he was named in the police report?
I don't think so. Based on what she said, she really felt that the police were trying to bury this and disregard her claims and not really investigate, which is another reason why a lot of victims don't report these things to the police. We have to address The elephant in the room is that we have victims, especially women, who go to the police, who are typically men, who don't actually investigate these things. They victim blame, they victim shame, and women don't feel safe or even protected to even make these claims because they don't think they'll be taken seriously, nor will their claims be investigated.
Legal experts suggest that, if convicted, Diddy Shan could face life in prison under federal sentencing guidelines, given the serious charges of racketeering, trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. Among these, the trafficking charge, particularly if tied to force, fraud, or coercion, carries a minimum sentence of 15 years and can result in life imprisonment. Analysts note that even if the defense succeeds in challenging specific allegations, the cumulative nature of RICO charges may still pose challenges. Prosecutors can argue that even loosely connected acts form part of an organized pattern, making it difficult for the defense to address accusations in isolation. The ongoing expert commentary and public scrutiny add pressure on Diddy's legal team to counter the prosecution's broad narrative, as each element of the case could set a precedent in the public eye on accountability in celebrity legal battles.
Stories, because I think it's important to point this out. When you highlight and you talk about some of the charges that have been leveled against him, and you see some of the stuff that's being said about him, look at this right here. Former Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day writes, "I never thought I would see this day," she told TMZ. "We all buried this inside of us in order to be able to keep going. And not just me, but victims you don't even know yet. We're all processing what that type of vindication can actually feel like now. Every conversation I've had with victims last night has been beyond moving on all levels." That was Aubrey O'Day. You know 50 Cent was going to make sure his voice was heard. Clowning P. Diddy. Taunting him, basically, because he's long taunted P. Diddy for years over the harrowing allegations against him. And what does he say here? This is yesterday, 50 Cent. "Here I am, keeping good company with the Drew Barrymore TV show. And I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." 50 Cent was referencing the over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricants for the freak-offs that the indictment revealed were allegedly found during the raid of Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami back in March.
The indictment outlines serious allegations against Diddy, including claims that he ran a criminal enterprise that involved mistreating guests and obstructing justice. Legal analyst El Honig highlighted that the combination of RICO charges and trafficking accusations presents a significant challenge for the defense, as each charge can increase the overall potential sentence. Currently, Diddy is detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center MDC in Brooklyn, where conditions are quite different from his usual lifestyle. Known for its strict environment, MDC offers limited freedoms and harsh living conditions, which can be particularly tough for high-profile detainees. For Diddy, adjusting to life in such a facility likely involves both psychological and physical challenges, given the restricted outside contact and tight security measures. His situation underscores the seriousness of the charges he faces, as defendants held without bail are often viewed as potential flight risks or threats to public safety.
There is a reason that people say you don't want to catch a federal case. If you have a federal case, the feds bring you in, you've been indicted. More often than not, I mean, what did you say the number?
95% of the time.
They're gonna get you. You're gonna be convicted of something. And that's what Diddy is facing.
Unlimited resources. It is hard to match that if you are a defendant in a case.
But it has been done, as we told you at the beginning of the show.
John DeLorean case.
DeLorean did, so it can be done, but can it be done in this particular case? We said that Diddy has incredible resources that will help, but if the case is as strong as it appears at this point, or at least as the feds have presented it, you'd think there's no chance. But maybe they're not presenting exactly what they have at this point?
Well, the thing is, it's usually, in terms of public perception, the strongest the day the indictment comes out because you haven't heard the defense.
Public reaction has been fervent, especially with comparisons to other high-profile celebrity cases, adding pressure on Diddy's legal team to address the interconnected allegations. Given the stringent nature of federal guidelines, plea bargains in cases involving coercive trafficking are unlikely, meaning that if convicted, Diddy could face significant prison time. This trial will test the limits of his defense as they work to counterbalance the power of federal prosecutors in a high-profile setting where public perception often clashes with legal realities. The federal sentencing guidelines for RICO and trafficking charges are particularly tough, with convictions often leading to lengthy or even life sentences. In Diddy's situation, the possibility of a multi-decade or life sentence underscores the gravity of the trial, especially since RICO guidelines account for cumulative sentences based on interconnected activities. Legal experts have noted the inflexibility of federal guidelines, which offer little leniency for cases involving organized crime. Diddy's defense faces a significant challenge. Effectively dismantling each charge and reshaping the narrative of organized wrongdoing will be crucial to avoiding the harshest federal penalties. The question remains, can Diddy's legal team effectively counter these federal guidelines and lessen the risk of a severe sentence if he is convicted? That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for our next update.